Well, hello there. I am back on the microphone, but also via my actual face, as I'm now adding a bit of video into this podcast for season 5. What are we talking about today? Today, we're talking about this concept that I've been thinking about this month of the quiet business. I've affectionately called it the 5 figures, 0 fucks business. Um, And where this originated from was an experience I had in February 2026, where I challenged myself to go to a big event. And then, there were lots of positives, but ultimately, where I got to was thinking, do you know what? This isn't for me. So I'll share a bit more detail about this on my Substack post, which I will link in the show notes. But the short story is I got nominated for an award, which had never happened to me in my entire life and was very exciting. And I was picked as a finalist, which I hadn't expected when I decided to honour the nomination and enter myself. And then it meant I had to go. So I thought, do you know what? I do have this sense of FOMO sometimes when I see everyone on LinkedIn taking selfies with each other and going, oh my God, I met so and so in real life and went to this event and I saw this amazing speaker, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, okay, I'm going to challenge myself. I'm going to practice what I preach, walk the talk and all that. And I am going to push myself outside of my comfort zone a little. And yeah, I met some great people. I don't regret going. I'm really glad I did it. And it was a really long way. It was a really long day. It went on into the evening. Yeah, it exacerbated a lot of my autistic traits in particular. I found it difficult to sit still, and by the end of the day, I had a migraine, so that wasn't so fun. Like I said, I'm really glad I challenged myself, but on reflection, there was just kind of this moment where everyone was out there in their sequins in the evening and the glad rags drinking wine and having fun, and I just looked around and thought, no, not for me right now, not in this season of my life. I want to be at home with my family. I want to be tucking my son into bed. I don't really want to be out here peopling. So I feel like I assuaged my own FOMO by just kind of going, yeah, not for me. No shade on the people there, right? Like you've got to do what works for you, but just tuning in with me, not so much. So yeah, did a lot of reflecting on the very long journey home, channeled it all into a Substack post. And then that really helped me land on this idea that actually what wasn't chiming quite right for me was actually the whole premise of awards is external validation, isn't it? It's having a badge to wear. And I won't lie, I enjoyed being able to say I've been nominated for an award. Of course I did. It's really lovely to get that rubber stamp. One of my clients nominated me. Who doesn't want that? And alongside that, this feeling that actually in this season of my life, that is not my priority. My priority is really working on that internal validation. What do I think of myself? When I lay in bed at night, am I happy with the decisions I made during the day and the choices I was faced with? And, am I happy with me? I think that's where I got to. And I think the key thing being in that room with other coaches and people that run businesses, it's sort of made me think about that sense that like we're always supposed to be growing, aren't we? We're supposed to be scaling, we're supposed to be leveling up. Everyone talks about getting to the next level, and I'm sure I have in my messaging as well, right? I don't know, I just had this epiphany where I thought maybe it's okay to not want that right now. Maybe it's okay to maintain. Maybe it's okay to plateau. Like, why don't we ever tell each other that that's okay. Why is the only goal ever to be more, bigger, better, faster? What are we so afraid of? What are we so afraid of about being able to sign off on the way things are for you and go, do you know what? This is enough. I'll give you an example. I remember dreaming of a 3K month, right? Just being like, if I could get to 3K revenue, I could pay my bills and I could afford my business expenses, and that would be amazing. I genuinely could not imagine how I would get there. And now on average I'm probably making twice that. And I'm still thinking about, well, it'd be amazing if I could make a bit more, but I'm also really conscious of, actually, for now, this is enough. And I am not willing to pour in the extra time, energy, and effort to get to that next level. Not even that I'm not willing, I just don't have it to give. I'm default parent to an 8-year-old. I run 2 businesses. I run a podcast. I have a house and cats and a husband and friends, and I'm perimenopausal, and I manage a bunch of chronic health conditions and an ADHD brain. This gets to be enough. I don't, do I actually need more than this? Yes, I would like to be able to buy a slightly newer car that didn't need quite so many repairs. I would like to be able to go on holiday abroad more often. I'd like to be able to spend some money on the house, but at what cost? And when I weigh it up, I'm not willing to pay that price. So if this resonates with you, I wanted to give you some things to think about in this podcast episode if this is where you are, because I want to normalize this experience. So the first one is this myth of the in-between, right? So we kind of treat the 5-figure one-man band business as a stepping stone to something else. And if you're not hiring, scaling, growing your revenue, it's really easy to feel like you're failing, and a lot of the messaging out there will talk about being stuck at that point. And I'll be honest, I ran a group program called Meth Club a couple of years ago, and I was speaking to those people in that way, and I attracted people with whom that message resonated, and they actually have managed to make massive changes in their business and different choices as a result. But couple of years on, I'm looking at that going, yes, if you do feel stuck, great, I'm really glad I helped those people, but also it's okay to be there. I suppose I was looking for the people who weren't happy there, but I want to normalize that if that's where you are and you are happy there, that's okay. So yeah, maybe this isn't a stepping stone for you if you're there. Maybe this is your destination. When you talk to people about your business goals, you can absolutely say, I'm not scaling, I'm maintaining, and I'm happy with that. And that doesn't mean you're lazy. That means you've created something amazing and you're enjoying it. More credit to you. So a little sub permission slip for you to say it's absolutely okay to be maintaining, and it's also okay to celebrate all the work and effort that you put in to get there. And there's nothing wrong with you if that's where you are. The second one is the kind of sobering reality of running a business as a ADHD or ADHD, autistic person, any kind of neurodivergence or chronic health conditions or caring responsibilities, or hell, the whole mix of all of those things. I think we've collectively normalized the idea that hustle and grind and drinking wine to get through that is how it has to be. And actually, yes, I used to do that. I bought into the hustle. I had from the outside, certainly pretty solid, shiny career in a big corporate, and I did really well. But oh my God, did I pay the price for everything that I poured into that role? And I think that's the thing, is whatever you want or whatever you think you want or whatever someone else tells you should want, is really checking in with, at what cost to me, and being really honest what does that cost me? I mean, I look back at that time in corporate and I'm like, ooh, that cost me a lot. That cost me my physical and mental health. It cost me getting into debt. It cost me so many episodes of anxiety after too much drinking. It cost me my reputation at times because colleagues were like, well, she's a nightmare when she's drunk. Yeah, it. I think I did what I thought I had to do to get by, but with what I know now about myself and the world and the options available to me, I'm a bit like, no, I wouldn't live that life now. I want different things. So, yeah, think about the cost of masking, the cost of putting extra time and energy into your business. Is that taking you away from something else? And are you okay with that? I set up my business to work around my son and spend as much time with him as possible. And that's my why. My secondary why is obviously I want to help people, I want to have a good time, but like the whole thing is set up for me to be a present mum and have a good relationship with him. And when I'm faced with any kind of decision about what I should do, I always choose him. That's my go-to, because I'm like, well, I'm never going to regret spending time with him. And I've only got one child, I'm never going to get to do this again. And I can always work, I can always fill time with work. I love my work. I love my clients. I love what I do. That's always there, but he is getting older day by day and closer and closer to the tween and teen era. And I will never get him at this age ever again, and that just makes that choice so easy for me. But yeah, anything that you are putting in, you are paying a price for it in terms of energy, time, money, capacity, time with other people. Like, that's for no one else to decide. That is your permission slip here, is you get to decide that, right? Only you can sign off on that. And I think there's something here about authenticity too, right? It's a really big part of my ethos that you build your business around your life and your needs. And if at any point I am not doing that and I'm not living in alignment with that and I'm not making choices from that place, then that's a reality check for me. So I think checking in with your values and what feels good to you is really important. Are you okay with whatever price you're paying for whatever you're doing? And does that align with your values? And if it does, then have at it. Like, if you want to prioritize your work over other things because that's your value system and you're happy to forego or compromise on those other things, don't let anyone else tell you that that's not okay. Like I said, only you get to decide that. The next thing is actually the surprise fact that I unearthed when I did my previous podcast episode on the 5-figure business, is that we're the majority in the UK. I don't know about other countries. I honestly don't have enough time to do all that research. I'm not familiar with necessarily how all those financial systems work. In the UK, you can get reasonably solid numbers on how many solo business owners there are based on whether they've got employees or not. And you can also use the proxy of registering for value added tax, VAT. So the VAT threshold, if you earn more than £85,000 a year revenue, you need to register for VAT and you need to charge that out to your customers and clients. So that serves as a good proxy for, if you're not VAT registered, you're not above 85k, so you definitely are in the 5-figure range. So yeah, if you're interested in that, go listen to that podcast episode. I'll go into that in a lot more depth. But yeah, that really opened my eyes to the fact that the narrative out there, especially on LinkedIn and all those targeted ads that you get, is that maybe tiny percentage, maybe it's just 5% or less, of solo business owners that scale to 7 figures. Like, they are probably 90% of the noise on social media, and it kind of creates this distorted perception we all have that if we're not earning 6 or 7 figures that we're failing. And actually, that's just not true. For most people, that like 3K month, 5K month, 7K months, the under 10K, everyone always holds the 10K month up as this thing that actually literally everyone I've ever worked with, their target was less than 10, somewhere between 3 and 10, and we are the majority. So, yeah, if that's you too, then that's okay and that's normal, and you don't have to want to be a 6-figure business, and you don't have to want a team. So yeah, this is your mini permission slip here to say if you just want it to be you and you just want it to be enough to pay the bills, run your business, save some money, go on a holiday or two, that's okay. No one else gets to say if that's okay other than you. And you can absolutely ignore those people saying it's really easy to scale to 6 figures if you follow their system, because they're all selling something, right? Because it might have been, in inverted commas, easy for them, but I doubt it was. And what they're often not honest about is the price they paid. And it might have been time away from their family. It might have been literal money that they had to invest. They won't probably tell you about all the money they ploughed in that they never got back, all the mistakes they made. They tell you what they think you want to hear, and they are a little bit creative with the truth because they're often selling you a simple 6-step formula, right? Which is why I don't do any of that. Because there is no simple 6-step formula. And full credit to you if you buy their 6-step formula and you follow it and you get their results. Brilliant. Like, good for you. The neurodivergent people that I work with don't like following 6-step formulas on the whole. It's not their bag. So, yeah, it's totally okay. The next thing I want to talk about is actually the mechanics of how to build your quiet business, your 5 figures, 0 fucks business. And this is where it's really important to have an honesty first approach. And you can do this with a business buddy or a friend, or you can just take this on a walk, voice note yourself, journal, ponder, however it is that you do your thinking best. But you need to be honest. You need to be absolutely honest with yourself about where you are and what you want, and where those goals and ideas and thoughts have come from, and if they are really yours or if they are narratives that you've internalized or shoulds that you've picked up elsewhere. You've got to get to the core of what do you actually really want. So the first step is the audit, the honesty audit. What bits of your business are for you and what parts are serving your ego or your sense of FOMO? What lights you up? What do you enjoy? Look at your to-do list for the last few weeks. What on there is just a should, is just a box ticking, soulless, joyless exercise? Like, bin it off. The driver of this quiet business for me is about being so intentional with every minute you spend and keeping an eye on that. Like, if I'm going to be away from my son and I'm going to make enough money to do the things that I want to do, it's got to light me up, right? Classic ADHD, interest-based nervous system. Like, it's got to be spicy, otherwise I'm out. So I'm constantly reviewing, what have I been doing? How am I doing it? When am I doing it? How long is it taking me? What improvements could I make? Could I make this easier for myself? All the time. It's really about being intentional. And I'll be honest, part of that whole awards debacle, it probably was serving my ego. Of course, like I said, to get some external validation. And I think I've been able to reflect on that afterwards and go, would have been lovely to win the award, right? It was lovely to be nominated. It was lovely to be a finalist. But like, does that really make a meaningful difference to my work, to how I present myself? Or would I have been trading on something because it was a badge? And I think that's exactly what I'm talking about, that uncomfortable honesty, like really being honest with yourself. Then the second step is to define what is enough. I've talked about enough, and I have a really great calculator, life and business money calculator, that I use, and I redo this exercise usually every 6 to 12 months. How much money do you actually need to live? And allow for your time off, and allow for your current expenses, allow to save for the future in life and in business. Think about business investments. Think about your incomings and outgoings. Put it all together in a calculator and then figure out, right, if I want to work this number of hours and take this much time off, I call it the real hourly rate. What is my real hourly rate? For every hour I'm at my desk, what should that be returning me? And it's an uncomfortable process, but it's a necessary one. Most people realise they need to put their prices up, but also maybe change how they do their pricing. And maybe there's more package pricing. Maybe there are some lower ticket offers to help you sell the higher ticket ones, whatever it is. Maybe there's money that you're spending that you just don't need to be, that you need to bin off, and be honest with yourself. Like, am I paying for membership of this community because it looks good or because it actually serves me? Like, if that's 50 quid a month you could have back, maybe you need it back. And step 3 is my current catchphrase after what happened earlier last month, but just being able to say, no, not for me right now. And you can use this as a shield to protect your calendar and your energy and your capacity. You know, maybe that person wants a one-to-one with you. Maybe so-and-so wants to pick your brains. Maybe you get invited to an event. Just having that moment to check in and be like, does this align with my values? Does this align with what I want in this season of my life and business? Would this be for ego, or because I've got FOMO, or, you know, is this something that would really serve me in some way? Be honest with yourself. So yeah, your permission slip to absolutely make no your default, and that way actually give yourself some space to check in with, is that something I really want or not? And you know, in nearly 7 years of business, one thing I will say is sometimes especially as an ADHD, right? Sometimes that shiny object, I think, oh, I really want to do that thing. And then it fizzles out, or I realise it's not a priority because I am very ruthless with my time, working a 24-hour week. Very intentional, like I said. But I'll think, oh God, I can't do that thing. The really good opportunities, the really exciting conversations with people, they come back around. These things come back around at the right time. You might think, oh, this is the time I'm going to set up a networking group, and you talk to someone, you get excited about it, and you meet up a couple of times and it dies out. Don't worry about it. If it's really right, if it's really meant for you, if inside there's a seed of something, a kernel of something that you're like, yeah, this could be the thing, it will come back around, and it will come back around in a much better format at a better time when you have capacity. And I've really learned to just trust that process and not try and control it too much. And if I don't follow something up, or I don't make it happen, or it doesn't quite land, I don't shame myself for it. I just go, not for me right now. And that's not forever. That's just not for now. And then at some point it will come back, and it will come back better, bigger, stronger, different. And if it's meant for you, if you're meant for it, that will just happen. I don't know the science behind that, and I know that's quite woo, but after nearly 7 years in business, I have also learned to embrace the woo, because there's a lot of that too. So, to finish, the key thing about this concept of the quiet business, the business that is enough for you, is thinking about, yeah, what fucks you can not give, what you can bin off, and also thinking about how it can be shaped around you and your needs and your family and your life and your values and what you think matters in life. And if this podcast episode has resonated with you, I would love to hear from you. I'd love to hear from other 5-figure, zero fuck business owners, because we are the majority, and I think we need to stick together and we need to normalise this approach and normalise the fact that we don't all have the same goals. And that's absolutely okay. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It's just we all live our own lives, and we have our own thoughts and feelings and experiences and trauma, and we're all different. Why would our businesses look the same? Doesn't make any sense. So as I said, I will drop the link for my Substack essay in the show notes if you would like to read more about this, where this aha moment came from for me. I will drop the link to the real hourly rate calculator in the show notes if you are interested in having that little financial honesty session with yourself. And obviously, if you have questions, just drop me a message. And I will drop the link to the Reality of the 5-Figure Business podcast episode in the show notes, because I got a lot of messages after that. A lot of people found it very validating, which in turn I found very validating. So I was like, oh, if I talk about this, it turns out this is what other people are walking around thinking and feeling. It's just no one else is talking about this. And as always, I invite you to do business differently.